Pontianak window fall incident. On February 12, 2024, a busy fitness center in Pontianak, Indonesia, became the scene of a shocking and preventable tragedy. Lynn, a 22-year-old fitness enthusiast and university student, was exercising on the third floor of the multi-level gym. The facility had recently undergone renovations, adding more equipment to maximize space in the crowded building. The treadmill Lynn chose that morning was positioned just 2 feet from a large window. The window, which stretched from floor to ceiling, had been left partially open to improve air circulation in the stuffy exercise room. According to witnesses, Lynn had been running for approximately 15 minutes when the incident occurred. At around 8:45 a.m., security footage showed Lynn adjusting the speed settings on the treadmill. As she reached forward, she momentarily lost her balance. Her foot slipped off the moving belt, causing her to stumble backward. In the split second that followed, Lynn tried to regain her footing, but the belt's continued movement propelled her further back. The momentum carried her directly toward the open window. She struck the glass with enough force that she broke through the lower portion that was open and fell. The drop was approximately 40 feet to the concrete below. First responders arrived within minutes, but Lynn had suffered catastrophic injuries from the impact. Her skull had fractured in multiple places, and internal bleeding was severe. Despite emergency medical efforts, Lynn was pronounced dead at the scene at 9:17 a.m. Video of the accident, captured by gym security cameras, spread rapidly across social media. The footage prompted immediate calls for safety regulations requiring proper spacing between exercise equipment and architectural hazards. LA Fitness Treadmill Fatality Incident. On July 21, 2023, a routine workout at an LA Fitness gym in California ended in tragedy. Rosario, a 36-year-old mother of two, arrived at the facility shortly after 6 o'clock p.m. She had been a member for 3 years and regularly used the cardio equipment after work. Security footage showed Rosario selecting a treadmill in the center of the gym floor. She placed her water bottle in the holder and began a brisk walk that gradually increased to a jog. For nearly 20 minutes, her workout proceeded normally as other gym members exercised nearby. At approximately 6:28 p.m., Rosario appeared to reach for the speed controls on the treadmill console. According to the incident report, she was attempting to reduce the machine's speed when the accident occurred. As she leaned forward to adjust the settings, she missed a step in her running rhythm. The moving belt continued at its programmed pace while Rosario momentarily lost her footing. She stumbled, first falling to her knees on the belt. The treadmill's momentum then propelled her forward. Witnesses described a sudden violent movement as Rosario's head struck the front metal portion of the treadmill frame. The impact caused immediate unconsciousness. 2 gym employees rushed to her aid, while another called emergency services. Paramedics arrived within 7 minutes and found Rosario unresponsive with severe head trauma. They detected a weak pulse and transported her to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Medical scans revealed extensive cranial bleeding and significant brain swelling. Despite emergency surgery to relieve pressure, Rosario never regained consciousness. She was pronounced dead at 3:14 a.m. the following morning. The medical examiner later determined the cause of death to be traumatic brain injury resulting from blunt force trauma. Gurugram Gym Dispute Incident. On March 17, 2018, a high-end fitness center in Gurugram, India became the scene of a fatal workplace altercation. Sharma, a 29-year-old personal trainer, had been employed at the facility for just over 2 years. Colleagues described him as ambitious and protective of his client relationships. The incident began at approximately 2:15 p.m. on the ground floor of the multi-level gym. According to witnesses, Sharma confronted 2 other trainers regarding a dispute over a wealthy client. The client had recently switched to working with another trainer, resulting in a significant commission loss for Sharma. What started as a heated verbal exchange quickly escalated. Security footage showed Sharma gesturing aggressively as the argument intensified. The gym's layout featured an open atrium design with the ground floor overlooking the basement training area 16 feet below. A glass barrier surrounded most of the atrium, but left openings near the stairwell. At 2:23 p.m., as the confrontation reached its peak, Sharma backed toward one of these openings. Witness statements conflict on whether he was pushed or lost his balance during the argument. Regardless, he fell backward through the opening and plummeted to the concrete floor of the basement level. The impact was severe. Sharma landed directly on his head and upper back. Staff members rushed to his aid while the gym manager called emergency services. First responders arrived within 12 minutes, but found Sharma with no vital signs. The medical report documented multiple skull fractures, cervical spine damage, and extensive internal bleeding. Despite CPR attempts, Sharma was pronounced dead at the scene at 2:47 p.m. Police investigation later classified the death as accidental, finding insufficient evidence that the fall resulted from intentional action by the other trainers. Norwich Smith machine accident. On January 9, 2025, the university gym in Norwich, UK, became the site of a deadly equipment failure. Cartwright, a 24-year-old medical student, was training alone during a quiet evening session. The facility had recently extended its hours to accommodate students with clinical rotations. Cartwright selected a Smith machine, a guided barbell system designed to allow safer solo lifting. Security footage showed him setting up for squats at approximately 9:40 p.m. The machine featured adjustable safety stops that could prevent the bar from descending below a certain point. However, investigation would later reveal these stops had not been properly engaged. In an unusual modification to his workout, Cartwright positioned an aerobic step platform beneath him to increase his range of motion. This equipment was not designed for use with the Smith machine and created an unstable lifting surface. Gym policy prohibited such combinations, but no staff member was present to intervene. At 9:47 p.m., Cartwright began his exercise with 220 pounds loaded on the bar. During his third repetition, his foot placement on the aerobic step shifted. As he descended into the squat position, the platform tilted slightly. Cartwright lost balance and fell backward. The unengaged safety stops provided no protection as the loaded bar crashed down. The weight struck his neck and upper chest with the full force of gravity. The impact crushed his trachea and fractured his cervical spine in multiple locations. Another gym member discovered Cartwright 2 minutes later and immediately called emergency services. Paramedics arrived at 10:01 p.m. and found him unresponsive with no pulse. Despite resuscitation efforts, Cartwright was pronounced dead at the scene at 10:23 p.m. The coroner's report listed mechanical asphyxiation and cervical trauma as the causes of death. Dublin kickboxing fatality incident. On April 3, 2024, a community gym in Dublin, Ireland witnessed the sudden collapse of a man who had already survived one brush with death. Fusneka, a 27-year-old Romanian carpenter, had been living and working in Dublin for 5 years. Just 13 months earlier, he had been the victim of a brutal assault that left him in a medically induced coma for 30 days. After extensive rehabilitation, Fusneka had made what doctors called a remarkable recovery. He had returned to work and gradually rebuilt his physical fitness. As part of his recovery regimen, he began attending kickboxing classes 3 times weekly at a local gym in North Dublin. That evening, Fusneka arrived for the 7:00 p.m. intermediate kickboxing session. According to the instructor, he showed no signs of distress during the initial warm-up. The class progressed to partner drills involving moderate intensity, punching, and kicking combinations. At approximately 7:38 p.m., surveillance footage showed Fusneka suddenly stopping mid-exercise. He placed his hand on his chest and took several labored breaths before collapsing to the floor. The instructor immediately called for emergency assistance, while another gym member, a registered nurse, began CPR. First responders arrived within 6 minutes and took over resuscitation efforts. They administered defibrillation 4 times, but detected no cardiac response. Despite their continued attempts, Fusneka showed no signs of recovery. He was pronounced dead at 8:15 p.m. The autopsy revealed Fusneka had suffered a massive myocardial infarction. Medical examiners discovered significant scar tissue in his heart muscle, likely resulting from the trauma sustained during his previous injury. The physical exertion of the kickboxing class had triggered a catastrophic cardiac event in his already compromised heart. Fusneka had survived a brutal attack only to have his life claimed during a routine exercise session. Jecheon Sporium fire incident. On December 21, 2017, a multi-purpose fitness complex in Jecheon, South Korea, became the site of one of the country's deadliest building fires. The Dusan Sporium housed a gymnasium, golf practice facility, public sauna, and several restaurants across its 8 floors. That afternoon, the building was occupied by approximately 60 people, many visiting the sauna to escape the winter cold. At 3:53 p.m., security cameras captured the first signs of smoke rising from the first-floor parking garage. Investigation would later determine that faulty electrical wiring had ignited a vehicle's fuel tank. Within minutes, the flames spread to adjacent cars, creating intense heat and thick toxic smoke. The building's sprinkler system activated but proved inadequate against the rapidly spreading fire. By 4:07 p.m., black smoke had begun filling the stairwells and elevator shafts. These vertical passages acted as chimneys, carrying the smoke upward throughout the structure. On the second floor, 29 people were using the gender-separated sauna facilities. Many were resting or sleeping in the heated rooms when the smoke began seeping under the doors. The fire alarm sounded, but several crucial emergency exits were blocked by illegally parked maintenance equipment. As visibility diminished to less than 3 feet, panic set in. Those in the women's sauna found themselves trapped as the single exit door became impassable due to the thick smoke. Firefighters arrived at 4:12 p.m. but struggled to reach the second floor as the stairwells were now completely filled with smoke. Autopsies would later show that most victims died not from burns, but from carbon monoxide poisoning and smoke inhalation. The toxic gases rendered them unconscious within minutes, long before the flames reached them. By the time firefighters controlled the blaze at 5:40 p.m., 29 people had perished, making it the deadliest gym-related disaster in South Korean history. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.